Hello and welcome to the Video Game Book Club. We're a little bit late on this one because it took us forever to finish it.
Y'all, it was a struggle.
Yeah. So what was the struggle? What was the book?
We read, based on a Ubisoft creation, Assassin's Creed, The Engine of History, The Magus Conspiracy by Kate Hartfield. Is it Magus or Magus or Magus? I think it's
the Magus.
Magus.
I think.
Yes. Magus. Magus. This is a standalone. I would not say it was canon.
I don't know. Canon to what?
Canon to there's no other I mean they mentioned some characters from the game.
Like a little bit.
It's like a mic, like not even a mic drop. It's like a barely mentioned in passing. This takes place, it says London 1851, for like a hot second. And then this book takes place like over 10 years throughout
There's
the whole
a lot of time
thing.
skips.
I was really looking forward to this book and I was really disappointed.
It's very, very boring. It's very slow. Not a lot happened. I think they give you like too much information that you don't need to know.
Yes, and
they
then
very much waste
way
your time.
too many characters.
Yes.
The characters would pop up, and I'd be like, I don't remember you.
Kind
Who
of
is this?
Unlikable characters.
Yeah,
too.
the two main characters. I think you were supposed to not like Simeon.
You think? Because they sure do.
Yeah, they tried, and then
I think they tried to redeem him at the end with his big old speech. That was, I didn't care. By then he was dead to me.
I saw this review and I totally agreed that the only people I cared about died.
Really?
Yeah.
Who'd you care?
The tailor was like the only person that I liked, and then
spoilers, I guess, early on.
And Ada too, but Ada was weird. I didn't really like her. That was a weird situation.
I actually kind of liked her.
That was a weird situation. It is somewhat of a historical fiction because Ada is a real person, so we do have some real people. Lord Byron is mentioned in here.
This was the first, I think, video game, maybe not the first, but that I felt like couldn't be a video game, you know? Like video game novel.
I think I asked you, would you play this if it was a game? And you just straight up, no.
No. Like, I don't know how you would make this into a game unless it's like a visual novel.
Yeah, it would be difficult. There are some other, our history with Assassin's Creed, I've played almost all the Assassin's Creed games. You've played a few of them.
Yeah.
They're very, very long, the Assassin's Creed games, which, fair, because you want to give time. Usually there's only 2 time jumps in a game. This one had multiple, which was a little annoying for me, and I have to say that when Valhalla came out, I was like, Vikings as assassins, that's dumb. They're not sneaky at all. These are the worst assassins in any of the Assassin's Creed games.
I mean, it took them so long to become assassins, and then like they kept fighting it all the time.
Do you think that Simeon was denied being an assassin not because he was not being truthful, but just because he sucked? Because that's what I took from it.
I thought he just didn't want to be an assassin for like so long.
I think Cain was like waiting for him to be like, I'm Simeon. And then he's like, haha, you're an assassin now. But I think it's more of like, you're not up to snuff. But even Cain's not up to snuff. Maybe. Like, it was just weird.
But we are talking about stuff that people don't understand yet.
No, but too well as we dive deep into...
what's the back of the book say?
All right, so new chapter in the war between Assassins and Templars began. London, 1851, when Pierette, a daring acrobat, performs at the Great Exhibition, rescues the mathematician Ada Lovelace from a gang of thugs. She becomes immersed in an ancient feud between the Assassins and Templars. But Lovelace is gravely ill and shares her secrets with Pierette, sending the acrobat in search of a terrible weapon which she'd been developing for a shadowy figure known as the Magus. It just sounds so gross. Magus.
I forgot. I listened to the audiobook too, and I just forgot.
That's why I rely on you for some of these names, because I definitely was calling him Simon and not Simeon. Magus?
Maybe it's Magus?
Magus?
I'm trying to think of her voice.
Did she have a British accent?
personality. She did a really good French accent for Pierette.
Pierette. Only ally is Simeon Price, Lovelace's childhood friend, who belongs to a brotherhood devoted to free will. Not really. With Simeon's aid, they discover a startling web of political assassinations destabilizing Europe. As they race to foil the Templars' deadly plot, murder and bombs are everywhere they look, but hope is nowhere in sight.
Do you feel like a lot of bomb stuff happening?
There is at the end, like all that stuff's at the end.
Mm-hmm. I felt like the middle to me. So I almost DNF'd this book like 3 times.
Yeah, we definitely.
It was a struggle to get through.
Delayed it because we were not willing to read and listening to it.
Feeling it
overnight.
It was making me angry how boring it was.
I think part of it, and it may be fair, maybe not fair, is I read a lot of books, and so I was reading some pretty good books at the time, and this was not that inspirational. You are also didn't
want to waste my time reading this book that I didn't like at all. Yeah. And it wasn't like, because normally I wanted to give it like 2 stars. Mm-hmm. Because 2 stars is I didn't like it, but it wasn't like problematic or controversial or weird.
This was a struggle. I only gave it 1 star. It's because on Goodreads it's like 2 is okay. It was okay, and 1 is I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I wouldn't read it again. I wouldn't suggest other people read it. It's not like the writing was okay. I think there was a lot of issues with the plot and the storyline.
Dense writing.
Yeah. There were some points where there was a lot of detail, and there was some points where it just glossed over things very quickly, and I go back and reread a couple things.
Stuff went by so fast.
Yeah.
I was back when I was taking notes, because I actually stopped taking notes, and it turned out somebody liked this book because they wrote out on the wiki,
a lot of people liked this book.
Every chapter and what happened during it.
Thank you.
I was just gonna, shout out. I'm just gonna read that because I got to chapter, 16 before I was like, I don't want to write stuff down anymore because stuff keeps hopping around.
Yeah, it does hop around, and like months, then it's like, and then months went by. I started off taking a lot of notes, and then my notes got shorter and shorter to the point that the last couple chapters were maybe a line, maybe not even a full sentence, which is at the end of the book is when everything happens. How far did you get
before you started to do like a sentence?
I'm pretty far. So you hear me turning my pages in the notebook. I would say probably chapter 12 was when I started doing shorter and shorter ones. So around the same time.
I was 16. Winner.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I was running out of pages in my notebook
15, because 16 has a sentence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the last couple, like definitely 24 through, I didn't even write anything for 27.
But don't worry. Because I have the wiki up, so we'll cover those bases when we get to them.
Just stop. So I was like, nope.
It's a rough read. I mean, I don't know. Who would like this book? What type of person?
I feel like if you have not played the Assassin's Creed games, you may enjoy this book.
Yeah?
Somewhat.
I mean, is it just because... Is it too slow for me? Is that what the thing was? I think. I don't know.
I was looking at the reviews on Goodreads, and some people, a lot of it was like, oh, I've never played Assassin's Creed. They like historical fiction stuff. There is a very, very, very small amount of historical fiction. But I was really excited. The prologue and chapter 1, I was like, yeah. And then chapter 2, I was like, uh-oh.
I was trying to think if there was ever a moment in this book that I was like, I'm in it. But like the whole time I was just like, I don't care about what's going on here.
It started off well, but then
I thought it'd be more circus themed based on the cover. You want to talk about the cover?
So the cover is, it's got this really cool gold leaf mixed with like steampunk gears, and then you have someone who is Simeon, I'm gonna guess, is in the middle up top, and he's got his black assassin's robe that's got gold trim around it, which would be Simeon, because we find that out later. Then right below him on this little spinny acrobat wheel is a girl in like a jumpsuit.
I can't see my picture very well. Let me see. Yeah, I think
And
that's a
then
jumpsuit.
you have on the bottom left, you have another woman who's wearing like all black. I'm gonna assume that's Ada, the girl with the ring and the little outfit. That's got to be Pierette because she's a circus performer.
Yeah.
And then you have two men on the right hand side, and they definitely look like late 1800s.
This guy has to be Kane with the mustache.
Yeah, but where is his waistcoat? Because that's what everyone called him.
And then this has to be the Emperor,
Looks
right?
like Napoleon. So Napoleon III makes an appearance briefly, which Napoleon Bonaparte is in Unity. So,
there's also the sunken ship from the prologue.
From the prologue.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
It looks really
Templar
cool.
logo up there.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's really neat. Like the cover, I can see why somebody would pick this book up.
Yeah.
Mistakenly.
And also the sequel's coming out soon, so it did get a sequel.
Cover artist is Bastian Jez, according to the wiki at least.
The cover looks very cool, but
the genre's thriller. Thoughts? I think
I would not call it a thriller. Yeah, I would say it was more of a historical fiction.
I was falling asleep. I was actually using it to sleep. I would like right before bed to finish it off because I got around 21 before I was gonna drop it again. I was gonna drop it at 16.
But you're so close at
and
that
then
point.
I got to 21 and I was like,
you gotta finish it.
So because I bought the audiobook, I was like, I have to finish it.
How was the audiobook? Did she help?
Moira Quirk. It's a sick name. I love that.
Yeah.
She did a great job. She gave everyone great accents.
Simeon is Irish. Does he have an Irish accent?
He doesn't. He is a very
like British or just
British.
Like
I'm
dude
bro.
Dude bro. Oh, I want to be an assassin.
Fair enough though, because he talks a lot.
And then Pierette is French.
A French accent.
And Kane.
I like the way she did Ada. She made her kind of like ditzy sounding, like very airy. And Kane was just a deeper Simeon, and I don't remember anyone else. So she gives a bunch of accents. She's really good. It was a good audiobook, but her voice is so nice and droning.
And not a lot is happening, so you're just like...
Send me to sleep, Moira Quirk. It's delightful. And also, I got on Spotify again.
And did the chapters match up this time?
No. The tracking happened again.
Because there's a prologue. So you were one chapter behind, ahead. Then you're one chapter ahead.
So maybe it wasn't chapter 21. Maybe it was chapter 20.
You would have been on 20. Because the prologue would be 1, and then chapter 1 would be 2.
Track. Oh, so irritating.
Well, this should be interesting as we dive deep.
I do like getting audiobooks on Spotify, though, because it is always the cheaper option now.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's nice. I'll stick with it, even though this chapter thing is really annoying.
I think it's not Spotify, or it's just the whatever company is doing the books. But it's like, come on, guys. Like,
it's also like a really long audiobook.
How long was the audiobook?
It's like 10 hours, I think is pretty long.
Oh, that's pretty long for us.
Yeah. I think it's one of the longest.
The book version, so I have the paperback version, and that is 332 pages.
This is supposed to be a trilogy.
Oh, no.
The first entry in the Engine of History trilogy. The next one's coming out soon.
I wonder if that one's going to have the same characters, though. Probably. We're not going to read it. I'm going to tell you that.
It's called The Resurrection Plot.
And is Simeon and Pierette back in assassin form?
It's coming out July 4th.
Yeah, it's coming out
happy 4th of July. Yeah. It's the same cast.
Interesting.
It'll probably be a while, and if we ever get around, maybe we'll forget, and then we'll be like, "Hey, this cover looks cool." So,
I've heard good things.
Stay tuned for that in 10 years. All right, we're gonna spoil the whole thing for you. So if you want to read this book, it's pretty much available everywhere. If you thought that the way we talked about it, you were like, actually, I would like that. You guys are insane. Go for it. But if you're like,
no judgment.
You're like, I kind of want to know what happens in it, though. Then stay tuned because we're just gonna spoil the whole thing.
Yes, because this will be a lot shorter than the 10-hour audiobook.
This will be an hour, maybe 2.
Dun dun dun! Prologue. Welcome to the prologue.
Or chapter 1, if you're me.
We are on HMS Birkenhead, and we are by South Africa.
I think so.
So we have Simeon Price and we have Private Sawyer Halford, which I liked Halford. I
like Halford.
He was a good, he likes to recite Shakespeare.
Which is like a thing that comes up a couple of times.
They were sailing around
Simeon Price is a lance corporal, by the way. Hot tip. I don't know if no one
So he's
cares.
somewhat in charge, but not fully in charge, but he's not a private. So that's all you need to know. Yeah, they're going around Cape Town towards war. And he thought Halford was praying, but he's really reciting Richard II, and this is when he returns to England. So I like their Shakespearean references. I thought that was very apt and good for what they were talking about. And then bam! They hit a rock.
A massive rock, which severely damages the hull.
Because they're not paying attention, and they're like, let's pull back. What could go wrong? So they start taking on water, and Price tries to get the men, but Lieutenant Grimes is like, no, get the horses, and no, you gotta stay on the ship. And then he gets hit by a man in a cloak.
Doesn't the cloak guy ask him for help?
Yes.
Price, to go get the men out of the bottom.
Mm-hmm. So they open the door, and they're trying to get the soldiers because it's filling up with water, and they're trapped down there. A stranger tells Price that if you ever find find
yourself in
if you
Vienna,
ever find
or
you want to give the queen back her shilling, make your way to Vienna. And I, for some reason, I wrote Vienna, but I was like, oh, we're going to Venice.
That's fair. I was the same way, to be honest.
Because I'm sinking stuff and cities that start with V. Yeah. But I definitely wrote Vienna. And then when we show up at Vienna later, I was like, wait, are we in the right place? I was like, yes, I'm an idiot. I wrote Vienna. And so he's like, there's a brotherhood that believes in taking orders from conscience alone, is the quote. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. They have to stay and pump to get the water out, but they're like, this is not going to work. And so the women and children have been put on other boats, and then this lieutenant is like, he's like, yeah, we have to stay here. He's like, this is your orders, you're just gonna stay here, because they think that if the men jump into the water instead of drowning on this boat, that they're gonna go swim towards the women and children and tip over the boat.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're just gonna swim to land.
Yeah.
Because they already let the horses go, and the women and children are on the lifeboats. And then for some reason, this Lieutenant Grimes thinks everyone's a monster. He's just going to murder all these women and children for the boat. And he's like, but we need to live too. So Simeon's like, screw you.
Then the ship breaks in half.
And Halford dies.
Yeah, Halford, no, it's so short-lived.
Mm-hmm. That brings us to chapter 1.
Chapter 1, track 2. It's the summer of 1851.
I wrote, what is a hippodrome? But then this is
big
Kensington Gardens. It's for horse racing.
Oh, like a big tent thingy.
It's like a
racetrack.
like a track and field, like racetrack. And then we have Pierette. She is a backup acrobat.
Yep. And she's trying to convince her ringmaster, Major Wallen, to perform as the lead in the act
Mezeppa. So it finally tells us that we're in the summer of 1851. Pierette also does stuff with horses, which is what Mezeppa is. She's taking on the man's race as an equestrian. So Mezeppa, which I don't even know what this is at all. It's didn't even tell us all that much, except for it's a well-known thing, and it's a man's part. He's got to save the girl, but he's like, I'm gonna ride in it because they lost their rider.
Oh, it's made by Lord Byron.
Mm-hmm. It was a poem, yeah.
Yeah, based on a popular legend of early life of Ivan Mezeppa, who later became hetman, military leader of Ukraine.
Yeah, they don't tell us any of that, so.
So now you know.
They give us a little tidbit of the poem. Lord Byron will become important later, but she convinces him to be able to play this role. He's like, all right, this is your shot, kid.
Wait, do you want to know about the story? It's really short.
Yes,
okay.
Tell me about this story.
According to the poem, the young Mezeppa has a love affair with a Polish countess, Teresa. I'm stupid. While serving as a page at the court of Kings John II Kazimierz Vesa, Countess Teresa was married to a much older count. On discovering the affair, the count punishes Mezeppa by tying him naked to a wild horse and setting the horse loose. The bulk of the poem describes the traumatic journey of the hero strapped to a horse.
Yeah, that sounds like something Lord Byron would do. Let me tell you about a naked man tied to a horse.
for having an affair.
Mezeppa.
Okay. Now you know what Pierette wants to do. She wants to be naked on a horse and ride around the ring.
I did not get that at all reading this. That would have been funny, though, because they're like, you can't do that. You're a woman.
Yeah.
All right. See, should have
You're
looked
learning.
it up. So this is like her one shot. They're like, this crowd's not gonna like this, but as she's performing,
Crowd's gonna love it.
there's a woman and she's being attacked by like 4 dudes, and Pierrette's the only one that notices this at all. And so she does this thing where she rides this horse on a ramp and then like picks up this girl, and then
I thought she was doing acrobat stuff at this time.
Yeah.
Like she was doing flippies in the air or something. It's hard to tell.
I don't know.
Like she went from horse to acrobat, you know, like in the poem.
Yeah, like during the performance, she sees a woman being kidnapped, so no one else is helping. And she's lifts the woman on stage, and then they run away. And then we find out it's Ada Lovelace, and she is the daughter of Lord Byron. And
she is like, I'm definitely gonna walk you home. And Ada's like, I'm fine. I can walk home.
Yeah, they have to walk through this like huge ass park.
It's whatever. It's probably my gambling debts. Like whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, she's very like, oh, I know why they want
The
me.
thugs are still chasing them.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah, so the thugs are still chasing them. What the heck?
They like do this like trickery thing where they like go one way in the park and they're walking by other people to be like, if they're here, then they can't catch us. Ha ha ha.
But she's like, I wonder if this couple's gonna help. So she fake trips or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh no, and the couple's like, I'm not gonna deal with that.
Yeah, they're not paying attention.
So she's like, okay, great, no one's gonna help us.
She's wearing some funky costume, like.
Yeah. They lose themselves in a crowd, so they're fine. Then they go home. They say goodbye, and they offer to meet later.
Mm-hmm. She's like, come hang out with me again.
Yeah, we're on chapter 2.
Surprise, surprise, Pierette gets bad reviews, and so she's not allowed to do that act again. And then we get Pierrette's backstory. She's like, I am not an urchint, because she is French and she doesn't have parents. Parents were musicians. They were killed during
the Paris riots of 1848
by police.
And then they gave their daughter to Major Wallen, the ringmaster, to protect like an adopted daughter.
Together ever since. Pierette is invited to the Lovelace house. Ava's like, yeah, everything's cool. I've given him what he wants. But then they don't tell us what that is. I'm assuming it's money.
What, Ada?
Ava, yeah.
I don't know.
Because that was it. She's like, oh, don't worry about that. Me being kidnapped? Oh, don't worry about it. I've given him what he wants. And it's like, that was it. And it's like, okay.
Okay. Was that like a Magus thing, maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know what that was. I didn't write that down. All I know is that she went to a party and Ada introduced her to a journalist.
John Ruskin. And he is the artist. Because everyone wants to draw her now.
Everyone wants to draw her now, yeah. And that made her really popular.
Yeah, she's becoming famous. And everyone in Ava's circle seemed to be bargaining for something with someone. So she's around some sketch people.
Well, that's just rich people, right?
Yeah.
What can you do for me?
Ada Lovelace is actually a Byron. Like, in real life, Ada Lovelace, real person. She is ill and klutzy. I thought it was interesting the fact that they talked to her. I did look up the whole, did Lord Byron have a kid with his half-sister?
And?
Yes.
All right.
He's had several illegitimate children, and yes, that was a reason why he had to leave. It's because he was doing things he wasn't supposed to.
Dirty whore man.
Actually, Lord Byron is well known for his poetry, but he's also well known because him and the Shelleys, he's the one that put on the party that they went to the summer house where she wrote Frankenstein.
Oh, that's cool.
As a task they were like, we're bored, because there was a volcanic eruption, so they had to stay inside over summer, and they were like, let's tell stories, and so then she wrote Frankenstein for that. So.
Well, Ada invites Pierette to her country house.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to hang out too. No volcano happening, but
they're gonna watch a solar eclipse.
And this is when Ada tells Pierette about science
And Charles Babbage, who was also a real person. This is the only historical fiction that you're gonna get, except for we'll see Napoleon later. He has an analytical engine, which is a machine that could solve any problem. And so she was like, I like to work on that. So they were corresponding. Ava's not achieving anything as a woman in the 1800s. She has 2 kids. Anne is 14 and Ralph is 12. Her eldest is Byron. So I guess she's got 3. Is away at sea. When I pictured reading this, I did not picture Ava as being an older woman.
Me neither. Well, I mean, she's on the cover.
Yeah, I was like, I would assume that she was in her like early 20s instead of her mid to late 30s.
She just looks good for her age. Yeah. Stays inside.
So Ava's dying, and she tells Pierette that she has been corresponding with a scientist named Magus,
Magus,
M-A-G-U-S, who had a machine, and only Simeon can destroy it. Find Simeon.
And then she dies. Gives her a notebook that has all of her notes on it about the machine. So yeah. So now that's Pierrette's job.
Yes, she's like, I must find Simeon.
Okay, chapter 3.
Simeon Price did not want to be found. He is now Jack Shaw, and he is in Straw. Sorry, I cannot read my own handwriting.
Jim Hay.
Hey. He's in Egypt.
This is a year after his ship crashed.
Mm-hmm. And then, well, he's not going to be in Egypt long because now he's on his way to Vienna.
People think he's dead, I think, right now. Yeah.
The ship sank, so.
But he also abandoned the army, so if anyone knows he's alive, he's in trouble. Mm-hmm. For desertion. Uh-oh.
He gets some lashes.
He finds his way to Vienna and tries to find the Brotherhood.
Instead, he finds an Irishman named Oscar Kane.
Is it at a coffee house, according to the wiki?
Is that a coffee house? I guess so.
Price meets a doorman who knows Kane and repeats the creed to him.
Kane was born into the Assassins. He was orphaned and raised by the church. Kane offers Jack a job as a gopher.
So they'll switch between Simeon and Jack Straw, Mr. Straw, all the time.
But then instead of just calling him Jack Straw, he is constantly referred to as Simeon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, choose a name. Choose a name. Don't
like,
give me
I
both.
didn't forget that his name is actually Simeon.
Yeah.
Because that name is weird.
I'm like, don't give me 3 names for one guy. Like,
yeah, I was getting very confused.
So Kane is into messenger pigeons. That's his thing. Yeah. And then he's gonna give Jack a pearl-handled razor for protection.
He like takes him in.
Yeah.
He just like adopts.
He's like,
this guy.
Live with me, and Jack Straw, Simeon Price, all the names. He's like, no, I want to live on my own, but you can pay me. And then he like takes him to a tailor, and he's gonna give him like an education, and
yeah, he really just adopted him.
Yep.
He's living with Kane now.
But he doesn't live with Kane though. But
he kind of lives with Kane.
Yeah, he's just there all the time.
He works for Kane.
Just there all the time.
Kind of.
Chapter 4, Kane explained the history Simon had learned wherever he had learned it was wrong. So he's like, you're gonna have to now read all these books because all the things that you know are wrong.
It's a college.
Mm-hmm.
He also gets a suit from the tailor shop.
And then he learns the creed of the assassin. So, never shed blood of an innocent, hide in plain sight, never compromise the Brotherhood. Every game you deal with these consequences. So he's like, we asked what the consequences would be if he broke any of those, and he's like, every day we deal with them.
Business with Kane leaves Price to see how his devices worked. Because he's making devices, I guess. And were used in multiple businesses, such as a device that conducts electrolysis.
Yeah, he's into electricity. He likes to tinker and do all this science stuff.
He's the messenger and delivery man for Kane now.
And he's reading all these books.
However,
separate metals from ore using electricity.
Price feels out of place as he reads Kane's books due to not having books of his own as a child.
He be polar.
Kane soon gives a range of books to Simeon and begins to test his combat skills and stealth techniques.
So his task is okay, we go up and we climb to the top of this cathedral, and then Kane's like, all right, now you gotta get down, but you can't use the stairs.
I mean, he does it.
Yeah.
So it works out. And then he gives him breakfast.
This is where I really thought the leap of faith was gonna happen.
Yeah, me too.
And then it was like, disappointment.
Just climb down. And then I'll get you breakfast.
And it's at breakfast that Price learns about Ava's death.
From the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. Chapter 5.
Chapter 5.
We're going to a party and you're gonna need a gun. The party is at Baron von Heinau's.
Baron Julius Jacob von Harnaus.
And he is, he's described, and this is a direct quote, 2 drooping luffs of white beneath his nose.
Gross.
Oh, that's gotta be this guy then, right?
What?
No, that can't be that guy.
That's not that guy. He's too young.
I still don't know who that guy on the cover is, but we'll find out. And then we have Countess Constance von Weissler, and she's a model of womanhood. Virtuous ornaments to the home. I put barf. The description of these people. They just sound pompous, and they are pompous, and...
The Baron is just the worst.
And he is talking about flogging women in the uprising, and...
killing rebel generals, and being a gross dude.
And then we meet Karl Meyer. Karl Meyer is the Baron's lawyer and his right-hand man. And they want to turn Vienna into a model of a modern city, but in order to do that, they got to tear down all the poor people homes, and they don't like that because they don't like to be homeless, and but they're like, we don't care, this is our city.
Yeah, weren't they gonna tear down the tailor's place?
Yeah.
So he's trying to, like, bleed the tailor dry, basically, so that way he has to leave his building and they can,
very humbug
destroy it, yeah.
And so Simeon and the Countess are dancing, and while they're dancing, he sees Kane and Meyer, the lawyer, go into an adjoining room. And then Meyer attacks Kane, and Simeon then is like, that's my boss.
That's my boss.
And then Kane is not really doing anything to defend himself, and so Simeon comes in, and he... tries to shoot him, but the gun doesn't work, and then
the gun that Kane gave him to use.
So he stabs him with a letter opener.
I thought it was a pen. Was it a letter opener? Yeah, he kills him.
And then he cuts his throat, and then he's like, "Oh, well, it's
with the razor that he got."
With the razor that he got. And then he's like, "Okay, so it's our assassin thing that we got to collect blood, which is in the older games, but." So he's like, well, the only thing I have on me is my calling card. So he's like, let me sample your blood on my calling card.
Gross.
Which has his name on it. Like, if someone finds that,
it says Jack Straw, so...
Trouble.
I'll just change his name again.
Oh, choices, decisions. All right, now I'm on chapter 6.
Yep, then they escape.
I like how I wrote the quote, he had always preferred consequences to rules, and now at least he had found others who felt the same
made the
way.
gun not work to, like, prove a point.
He's like, you gotta get up close. You can't kill someone from far away. That's not
lame.
how assassins
We kill
do
in the
it.
shadows. And Price
With a letter opener.
does not like that. He feels, like, manipulated and grossed.
And then we knew before that the Baron and the Countess and stuff, they were all Templars, and so they were like sneaking around. Kane is like watching the Templars because they have all the cool technology, and Kane's super jealous of it. He's like, they do all the cool things, so I'm just gonna spy on them and find all their information to use.
They regroup back at Kane's lab. They talked about confirming their kill on that lawyer guy to the Assassin Council.
So at this point, like, Straw or Simeon, whatever this guy's name is, he wants to join the Brotherhood, and he's like, finally I killed someone, like, I'm in the Brotherhood. And no, you're not in the Brotherhood. We get a little bit about Kane. Again, Kane is like spying on the Templars, and he's like, Templars use knowledge to fight. And then Kane is a man who dug for the future in the dirt of the past. So hence all the books and him trying to figure everything else out. And then instead of telling, Kane's like, I'll tell the Assassins Council. You go tell that tailor guy. His name is Labini. He's like, you go tell Labini that you killed his tormentor. I said, seems very unassassin thing to do. Like, we hide in the shadows, right? Like, how about you just tell the whole city? Because he's going to go to a bar and wait for him to show up after work to tell everyone. Hey, that guy that was picking on you, I murdered him.
Man, even recounting this book is boring.
I'm just like the decisions in the story. I was confused with.
He does tell him in front of everybody. He's like,
"Ha, that's so amazing."
The bartender knows now too.
Yeah, there's like 3 people in there, and they all know now.
They're like, "Yay, you did it! Huzzah!"
But you killed the lawyer. Like the other people are still a-holes.
Le Beignet is like, "I'll repay you for that. That's cool.
Make you an outfit."
It's like the end of the chapter.
All right, chapter 7. We're at Countess von Feisler's home. She has a conservatory. And then he's like, you should seduce her.
Yeah.
It's like, gross. There's a demonstration happening at her house, and they're doing stuff with electricity. They're looking at a steam-powered rock drill. And they're like, well, are you just going to replace all the workers? And they say humans will be free to use their minds once we're freed from banging on rocks like apes to get to the metal we need.
Maybe they'll die less in mines.
True, but that never works. It's like unemployment. Guess what? You're going to be reading and learning all the education. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, but mining's like the worst freaking job ever.
It's very dangerous.
Anything to make it easier, dude.
Mm-hmm. This is the quote about the Countess. She seemed more dangerous than useful. He's like, I'm not messing with that lady.
Why does he leave this party again?
She's not useful or dangerous.
I forgot. He just dips. He throws like a hissy fit and he leaves. Yeah. I don't remember why.
I think it's because he's all about the working man. And like these intellectual rich people are trying to talk about things that they don't really know.
Yeah, he just excuses himself out of the house. He goes and walks down the street. They're going to have lunch. He's having a crisis.
Yeah.
He sees that local butcher running and Le Beignet, he's running after Le Beignet on the street.
The Countess, we find out she's from a Templar family, and she is his enemy. And he's like, you tried to get me to have sexy time with this lady, and she's our enemy. And Cain is like, yeah, I gotta learn all their secrets. Like,
you have sexy time with her, Cain? Jeez.
Yeah. So Le Beignet stabs the Emperor in the neck.
Yeah, so okay. Simeon runs out the party, he has a crisis. He sees the butcher running, and he's like, why is the butcher running?
And then he runs after the butcher.
Le Beignet's running, and he's like, oh, it's the tailor guy. Hey.
And that tailor guy runs right up to the Emperor and just stabs him in the neck with a kitchen knife.
Yes.
Like, he's a tailor. He's got all these tailor shears. What is happening?
I don't think it would have been more effective. But...
And so he gets tackled, of course, but Simeon's the one that tackles him because he's like, well, they'll hurt him more. And then the Emperor's fine. He's just got a little nick on his neck.
Yeah, this is chapter 8 now, and the butcher is holding Le Beignet, the tailor, down.
And then he pops up, and there's blood on Le Beignet's temple. I'm like, why? Why did he hit his head when he fell?
I guess. I don't know.
What is happening? And then he's like, long live the Hungarian Republic. And everyone...
he goes to jail, basically. Yeah. Le Beignet's in jail.
They take him away in shackles.
Simeon goes and sees the tailor's sister to be like, why would he do that? Turns out that the tailor was inspired by a mystery man who told him his life could be better. Although, they say, like, Cain's like, was it me? Cain.
Simeon.
Simeon was like, was it me? Did I inspire him to commit assassination?
And she's like, no, this was months ago.
Yeah, no, this was months ago. And I was like, then what the hell's the point of this?
Misdirect.
What the heck's the point? This is so stupid.
Vienna had men of action, but that's months ago before Simeon even showed up.
It would make so much more sense. I mean, if it was Simeon who was the one who inspired him, and that's why Simeon is like, I'm having a crisis, I don't want to join the Brotherhood, blah, blah, blah.
I like how you said, I literally wrote, Simeon continues his crisis on who is the bad guy.
It's so annoying. I'm like, it should have just been Simeon. Kate Hartfield, come on. Yeah. I know you're probably like, it was Cain or like some BS like that. And it's so stupid. Because I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point?
It was a weird misdirect because you don't figure that out until like the end of the book.
Until by the time I already forgot that this happened.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, we had this conversation. It was difficult. So there's a plan that we're gonna break Le Beignet out of jail. It is a dumb plan, but
Simeon's on distraction duty. Cain's gonna go up to the...
He's gonna use his untested device to cut the windows off of the cell so they can just like take a rope out of the building.
Classic move.
And I'm like, to tie your bed sheets together? Yeah. I don't know what's happening, but
he gives Simeon a bomb. He's like, use this.
He's got these like smoke bomb distractions
to distract them. So Simeon throws like one down a hallway.
He is in it to win it. He's like, this is my job. This is what I do.
He is good at being a distraction.
He's like watching the guards and to the point where he's like, okay, I have to give him more time. So,
yeah, because he uses all the smoke bombs, and then he sees the guards going
singing
back.
like a drunk man.
So he's like, I'm going to pretend like I'm drunk. And so he does that.
He gets
arrested.
And then he looks up and
because he's
Kane's gone.
Yeah, he goes to jail in a small cell. Kane's gone, and then he wakes up the next morning in the cell to Kane letting him out of jail.
And he finds out that Kane sucks, and
it was too slow.
He's like, oh, it didn't work. And Lavinia is dead. He gets hanged. Yeah. Right? Or shot,
he gets hanged.
Shot or
I can't tell if they were like, he's gonna get hanged, so give up, or he's already hanged.
No, it was like, oh, they just hanged him. Like, yeah.
Okay.
So he dead. They hung him. See, I took notes for a reason.
Nice. Okay, finally we're back to Pierette.
And so it's now October of 1853. So it's been 2 years.
Okay. Who is having trouble finding Simeon?
There is war with England and France. And France and Russia. So the troop is going to go to Rome. Then they're going to go to Brussels. Then they're going to go to Berlin. Then they're going to go to Vienna.
So Pierrette's got a new fire writing act where she would write people's names like on fire. Mm-hmm. And she was writing Simeon's name.
At the end,
always. And that's like not a bad plan, I think. That's a way to do it. Someone came backstage asking, why are you spelling out the name Simeon Price? Huh?
Yeah. We also have Hugh and Ariel, who are people, they have a knife throwing act, which will be important later.
It will.
Sort of.
Kind of. I totally didn't write anything about her troop, because yes, they come up at the end of the book, but like...
Well, that's how she learns how to do knife stuff.
Majority of the book, they are so pointless.
Yeah, they are. They were the only good people in the book, but the crowd... there's a quote that Hugh and Ariel have a knife throwing act. The crowd loved it, but Pierette was the star. I'm like, what a man. Because this is from her perspective. So
Pierrette's very much into herself, dude.
So this guy comes backstage and is like, why are you saying my name?
Oh yeah, it was dead. It was Simeon. Because like he wouldn't say it for so long. Pierrette's like, are you Simeon? Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, and he's like, you're Simeon, aren't you? Here, Ada, a book for you.
So I like how I wrote this quote because it had been her intention to make herself famous. And his name was along for the ride. She hadn't even truly considered how he would feel about it, because he's supposed to be dead. But she's just like, Simeon Price.
Because if he was alive, he'd be in jail and in trouble.
That is true. And so, yeah, she gives him the book and she tells him about the mages.
Simeon does not think he can solve this puzzle. He's like, nah, I don't think I can do that. They're going to meet up tomorrow, though.
Chapter 10, it's been a year now since the tailor is dead, and 2 since Price came to Vienna again. He doesn't trust Kane to show him Ada's journal. So he's like, well, I know a guy. And so he's going to go take the journal to Kane.
Also, I guess the Baron died.
Did he?
They talk about, I wrote that as a note.
Oh, dang.
So he's dead.
I read that. Yeah, so he decides not to give him the journal because he doesn't fully trust him. Kane has been waiting for 2 years for Price to tell him his name. And he's still waiting because they have like a confrontation a little bit. And he's like... do you have something to tell me? And he's like, nope, sure not.
Okay, so this is where they talk about like the actual plot of Assassin's Creed, which is like scientists create humanity. It's ancient aliens.
Precursors, yes.
And that's when I was like, is that really the plot of Assassin's Creed? It's just ancient aliens.
Well, that's where you have the, like, because in Assassin's Creed you have the present, right? Where you're playing as Miles or whatever. And then you have the past, which is when you're reliving their lives. And so the precursors are in there, but they're more relative to what's happening in the present timeline.
Ridiculous.
What's with the...
I didn't realize that the plot of Assassin's Creed was so goofy.
Well, that's why Miles... if you have not, Miles...
I'm not paying attention to
at
Miles'
the end, because he sacrifices himself.
I also didn't finish 3. Thank you very much. So I just
that was the revolution one. But yeah, the pieces of Adam, that's all precursor stuff.
All I remember was collecting apples and then not giving a shit about the plot of whatever was happening with Miles because we were too busy playing historical fiction the game.
Yes.
So
and getting hit on or getting sexual advice from Benjamin Franklin.
I'm so sad that I was in the kitchen and I didn't give, was it Da Vinci a high five? Like, it was a QuickTime event.
Yeah.
I miss those. They need to bring QuickTime events during cutscenes back because otherwise I'm not paying attention.
No. All right, so we now learn about these ancient people who have these amazing things that we've lost through time, and whoever gets to the castle first wins. That's basically how this works. Price meets with Pierette on the bridge.
She was doing a handspring and stuff, and Simeon was like, "Stop it! Stop! We're supposed to be incognito. Yeah. Get down from there."
And then I wrote, they talk about nothing.
They do. They talk about absolutely nothing. Simeon is like, these notes in her notebook are insane, and he's sketched out by the Brotherhood, and Simeon's deciding to run away again.
So Pierette steals the notebook and jumps off the bridge.
Yeah, Pierrette's like, "You're pathetic and stupid," and steals the notebook and leaves.
And Price returns all the things to Kane and is leaving disappointed.
Kane's like, "Oh, you're leaving? Okay, whatever. Brotherhood's here for you. I don't really care." And Kane called him Simeon, but what was stupid, because they brought this up, they're like, he accidentally slipped and called him Simeon because he knew the whole time that was his name. Mm-hmm. But because the book has been switching between
I didn't
Simeon
pick that up at all.
And Jack Straw, I was like, I totally missed it.
I missed that big time.
It wasn't like, it was like, they've been calling him Simeon in his brain like the whole time.
Yeah, it would have been better if they did not address him as Simeon until
that scene.
Yeah, until that scene.
That would have been way cooler.
Then I did not know that
Jack
at all.
Straw.
Dang.
You know what would be a cool twist is if we didn't know he was Simeon, and then he said he was Jack Straw like the whole time.
Yeah, he could have been the whole time.
And then when that,
because they could have just called him Lieutenant at the beginning.
Yeah, and then when the Pierette thing happened, and then this thing happened, that would have been so much cooler. Because we'd be like, "Who's this new character, Jack Straw?" You know. And then we'd be mad, and then this twist would come, and we'd be like, "Oh, it's the guy from the first chapter." I want to rewrite this book.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cut like half the stuff.
Yeah, honestly, you could have dived. You could have. I can't speak. Into the end of the book more and the beginning of the book, and then just cut out the whole middle. I don't need the middle.
What was it? Is the abridged the like shorter or longer version?
Shorter.
Abridged version.
Abridged version. Important things. And okay, so we're on chapter 11. There's a guy with a scar who shows up twice in this book, and that's it.
I don't even remember the second time he shows up.
It's at the end, because I was like, "Oh, finally, this guy with a scar," because it's so random, and then like he doesn't pop up for like 10 more chapters.
Yeah, Pierrette's carny truck has been ransacked by some man, and like her roommate is like, "It was a man with a scar."
He's also looking for Simeon Price, and so here's the thing. So her room gets ramshackled, and so she decides, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to rip up Ava's notebook. I'm going to sew in these pages that have writing on them into my corset, because I don't wash this corset.
Gross.
Ever. Because she says, well, it's on the outside, so it doesn't get washed very much.
But doesn't she not do that?
It still gets washed, people. Like, you still wear it. It needs to be washed. But she sews it in. She does it several times. This is paper. I'm like, and we'll find out 10 years later.
Sure that happens? Because I don't think she did that.
She shows the notebook papers into a corset, and then they leave for Prague. And then she talks about it several other times in the book. She's like, "Oh, thank goodness I have my corset on, because that's where the papers are." And then when she meets up with later and gets stabbed, then that's where the corset papers are. That's where they find it out. It's like a huge plot of the book.
It's not in these notes, and it's not in my notes.
They mention it over and over again.
Oh, yep, there we go. Acrobat cleans her room, hides the pages by sewing them into one of her corsets. Okay.
I'm assuming she's sewing them in between the two fabric things, like the front and the back fabric, but still, like, when you wear it, it rubs. Like, yes, it's got whale boning and stuff in it too, but you're still moving around. And so that friction is going to cause the paper to wear and the writing to rub off.
Yeah,
like, that is so dumb.
This is not realistic at all. It's Assassin's Creed.
I was like, seriously? Like, sew it into, like, the hem of your skirt or, like, your...
You want to go off? You want to go off about something else?
Put it in your hat.
This is when the circus leaders get typhoid.
Yeah. Oh, you and I had this conversation earlier. I was like, so before we get to typhoid, she asks Hugh to show her the knife throwing. He tells her about the guns instead, and so she's like, oh, okay, well, that will tell me about Magus for some reason, because he's into weaponry, so I'm going to be into guns instead.
Yeah, because she's going to search for the Magus herself, and she decides she's going to go ask a bunch of weaponsmiths around when the circus tours.
And then 2 more years pass. Just like...
Ugh.
This book takes forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this is where your typhoid goes. Pierette is touring an ironwork while she's with the circus, and then she comes back, and they're like, oh, Dad's feeling sick. The doctor comes, and he's got typhoid, which typhoid is stupid contagious, and they're carny folk. So... that circus would have been shut down, but no, they alternate because there's more than one person that has typhoid.
Decide that they're like, okay, we have to settle down somewhere instead of moving around because we have typhoid now. So Ada suggests Birmingham, England, where a bunch of industrial stuff happens. And they're like, yeah, sure, why not?
But I feel like isn't that like worse air for someone who's just like sick with typhoid?
She doesn't care.
She does not.
She's like, I gotta do the Magus thing. I only care about Ada.
Yeah. So. This person I met for like a day.
The only person that matters to me. Screw my adopted dad who has typhoid.
Yeah, they like the dad and the daughter, because the guy that runs the circus has a daughter, and like they both have typhoid, and they're both like still working the circus, but alternating, so they don't close. I'm like, no. All right, that rant can be over.
Now we're moving on to Simeon again. This is 2 years after.
So now we're in 1854. So this is the 3rd year since the beginning of the book. And we are in Lake Como, which is in Italia.
He's hanging out with some Italian woman named Laura, and who owns a villa.
Yeah. So he's working for room and board, kissing the landlady, and then
they're roommates with benefits.
Yeah, because he doesn't have any money, so she's like, "Oh, you can fix my house and sleep in my bed."
So some guy showed up to the villa while they were
Oliver Fraser, a man with a similar past and also a fake name. He is a soldier from Crimea, which is where I think we find out that Price was supposed to go if he didn't desert, and they just killed a bunch of people. So
I skipped talking about Fraser because he's so unimportant, and I moved on to talking about some man who escaped jail
Orsini
to the villa, and they gave him soup and they kept him even though he just escaped jail. And
it's a bad storm.
Harboring a fugitive.
Yes, they are.
He tells them how that he escaped. I don't remember or care. Soldiers came at dawn. They're very fast.
Yes, and they poorly killed him. Like this is the point where I was like, did Kane not invite Simeon into the Brotherhood because he wouldn't tell him his name, or because he just sucks? Like, he sucks as an assassin.
I think it's because he doesn't trust him fully.
I also think it's because he sucks. He botches this assassination. Like, the lady has to help him kill the people, and so does Fraser comes out.
He comes from above. He assassinates the soldiers with the help of Laura and Fraser.
Yeah.
They move the bodies, and the escaped man leaves.
They're like, we'll move him down the road, so they think the escaped convict just murdered them.
What's the escaped convict's name, guys?
His name is Orsini. Felice Orsini.
Orsini.
And then we find out that Fraser, who was up late that night while Price was sleeping with the landlady, that they were drinking and talking about the Magus. Like, I'm never going to say this name right.
Yeah.
And so Simeon is like, oh crap, like, I gotta talk to that guy. Hey. So let me go to Paris, where this guy said he was going, because he can't find him. Even though he's left just without.
Simeon's going after Orsini because Orsini is
he knew the guy.
He knew the Magus. So he was like, oh, I can actually, even though he was like, I'm not doing the Ada Lovelace quest. He's like, I changed my mind. I'm leaving my sort of wife and I'm going to Paris to follow Orsini.
All right, so we're in chapter 13 and Simeon is traveling again. And he goes to Zurich. And then he goes to Paris. And in Paris, he's going to meet 3 assassins because they know he's there because they're assassins and they know what's up. And they're like, you're awful at this, trying to sneak around, find us.
Yeah, because he's on the rooftop, right? Trying to do assassin. He gets held by knife point by a female assassin.
Amira Benegamina, Michael Moulin, and Henry Escoffier. I was like, why full names? Why are you giving us they like introduce themselves with full names?
So you know.
I'm like, that if you're an assassin, you don't want people to know who you are. Like, why?
Have fun code names.
Yes. I am the Crow.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Crow. I'm the Raven. Nice, got him. Different.
Escoffier was the man on the boat at the beginning in the prologue. He was like, hey, Kane sent me.
I was waiting for this guy to show up again forever.
I know. He's like not in Vienna at all. He's actually, Kane sent Escoffier to the boat to recruit Simeon. Like, Kane had met Simeon earlier and was like, this guy'd make a good assassin. Let's travel the world to try to find him. How would you know? I guess he would have
Big Simeon fan over here.
Yeah, enlistment papers. Like, that's a lot of work to track someone down. It's not, you're not just Googling them and
he loves Simeon so much.
And then we find out that Orsini is in London because he's making speeches and he's not hiding whatsoever.
Yeah, he's about to give a lecture.
Yeah, Simeon is just off of some other bad notes. I'm like...
Simeon's like, I'm not going back to England because I will get arrested.
And so Simeon is training again with real assassins. And then I wrote, leap of faith, baby. They're like, oh, sometimes you have to take a leap of faith.
Wait. The assassins from England are going to keep track of Orsini for him because he's not going to go over there. Okay, continue.
Because he can't, because he's the
wanted man.
Because now that Pierette has told his name around everyone, he's like, damn it, they know I'm not dead anymore.
Thanks, Pierette. Yeah, very cool.
So it's Amira, right, that takes him out on the boat. And they're in a lake, and she's like, sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. And so I was like, yeah, finally, Assassin's Creed.
It's leap of faith into the ocean to grab a weird shiny object.
But it's more the fact that, like, first of all, he's not leaping anywhere, he's diving. And second of all...
a dive of faith.
There's nothing actually down there except for his stubbornness, and he almost passes out. So it's that,
this
like...
so stupid.
That light that you see when
agree.
You're losing oxygen in your brain. That's what he was looking for.
And that's, they were like, it's your faith to keep going when you're drowning and dying. You thought you saw the object? I lied. There's no object down there. It's just your hallucination. And now that you're fully insane and oxygen deprived, welcome to the fucking Brotherhood, Simeon.
Now that you tried to die to find something you were looking for.
Stupid.
I was so pissed.
That was so dumb.
I was so pissed.
It wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even a thing. It was just him losing his mind because he was dying.
All right.
Pierette.
We're on chapter 14.
It's Pierette time.
She is in Birmingham.
Looking into gun shops. It's been 5 years.
They talk about the organic smells of the circus.
Ew.
She means animal shit, by the way, and BO. She moved the whole circus to a broken theater, and it's 1857 in a sketch part of town just so she could investigate. It's been 5 years now since Ava died. I wrote, oops, she got lost in thought and found Ada's machine.
Yeah, some guys are working on a mystery machine, and so
she's at a gunsmith, and she's like, you got anything new? And then he's like, not since yesterday. And so she's just kind of wandering around thinking about things, and then she's like, oh crap, I'm in a different part of the building, and then she's like, hey, that looks familiar.
Yeah, there's like these
it's what I've been looking for this whole time.
Casings, they match Ada's notebook drawing. So for a closer view, she notices a conversation between two workers and an outsider smoking, and the conversation reveals that the casings are meant to shock people And he gives the plans to the two workers.
He talks about the boss is going to be at Basclong. I'm like, I don't. Where is that?
On the 28th.
Yeah. That's where the client will be on the 28th, and then I was like, oh, it's in Paris. And it's in December, by the way. So we're in December. Pierette grabs the casting and then she flees to Paris.
Yeah, she inches closer on the catwalk and she's spotted because the catwalk is making a noise, and then she uses the catwalk's unstableness, moving back and forth, and then hooks her legs on it, and then Circus grabs the thing and books it.
And then she's like, oh, the police are gonna come looking for me, and so I'm just gonna, I've got some things in Paris to do.
I'm ditching my circus troupe and I'm heading to Paris. Wouldn't that make her circus troupe be in trouble? That's what I thought. I was like, she's such an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Chapter 15?
Didn't she go to Paris in chapter 14?
She flees to Paris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Simeon time!
Simeon is creeping around rooftops again. And the English assassins lost Orsini.
Oh no.
He is up at the top of an opera house, right? And bomb goes off because Napoleon's there with his wife, but there's 3 carriages. They're in the last carriage.
It says he's looking for Orsini.
Yeah, because Orsini is missing.
Yeah. Waiting for the emperor and his wife to arrive. Price notes that every ruler has been in danger due to the recent attacks against certain figures, like a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the bomb goes off and I was like, it's a grenade? I was super confused about what this thing looked. I need a picture. I need a diagram.
I think it's a grenade. Yeah.
Yeah. But it only goes off on certain things. Because like they tried to explain it later and I did not get it. So Pierette shows up and she's riding a horse in the crowd. And then she gets pulled off her horse and Simeon dives for the orb grenade. And the storyline converges again.
This was so confusing. I was like, what is happening in this chapter? So bomb goes off. Pierette was riding a horse nearby.
People are dying.
We think the thing that Pierette stole was also a bomb.
Yeah, because there's like 8 of them.
A grenade. There's a second bomb that comes out.
And there's other people on the rooftops because they're throwing it.
And like Price catches it.
But then, okay, so Orsini is there because we find this out later, but do they mention him in this chapter? Because I did not get that at all.
I thought they did at the beginning. Because it's like, Simeon again, Orsini's been lost, but he's tracking Orsini, I guess.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, they lost Orsini, but then you find out that Orsini is there during the Napoleon thing later on. But
they're like, Orsini's gonna kill the emperor, so I don't know.
It's like, you've met Orsini. Wouldn't you know what he looks like?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be like, hey, that's Orsini?
But like in all this chaos, Pierette gets super injured in the head.
Yeah. Well, she got pulled off of a horse.
Yeah.
But the horse is fine, by the way.
So this is when Simeon's gonna take Pierette to his secret assassin hideout.
And we're in chapter 16.
This is when I stopped taking long notes.
Pierette tells Simeon, I like the beard. Or she said that. In the French accent, I like your beard. She's hard to say with a French accent, beard. We find out the bombs are Ada's design, and they've got spikes that work as pens to trigger a detonation. But didn't Simeon catch it? But he did not catch the spike. I need a picture. 4 were arrested. There were a lot of people that died. And then Simeon is like being super rude to Pierette. Like, what are you doing? You're ruining everything. Yeah. You put that horse in danger. And she's like, that's a circus horse? So, mind your business. And then this is where we found out that Basclong was a warehouse. They're like, something feels off about this assassination attempt. I can't let you get yourself killed, and I can't let you expose me. That's Simeon. I think I wrote, is he even an assassin?
I don't know what's going on, dude. He is, because remember he did his dive of faith and lost oxygen.
And now he's going to teach her all his assassin stuff.
Yeah.
For some reason I wrote, Kane thinks he knows who Magus is, but I don't think that's Kane. I think that was supposed to be Price. He's like, I know who the Okay, if you could rewrite this book,
yeah,
like we've already talked about, who would the Magus be for you? Because I think Napoleon would have been a good
Kane was just so obvious. Spoilers, it's Kane. Kane was just so obvious that it was him. But, like, if it wasn't him, then what's the point of him being around? Just to be, like, the guy that tells you about the
Brotherhood? Yeah.
You know what? You know who it should have been?
The Countess. Yeah.
It should have just been the Countess.
It should have been the Countess.
Like, that would have been so much better.
I said, like, Napoleon or the Countess. It needed to be someone who was a high-known figure. Because no one knew Kane. Like, who cares?
Who cares about Kane?
But, yeah. At first I was like, Napoleon? And then, yeah, Countess.
I thought you were joking with the Napoleon thing, to be honest.
No, I really wanted it to be Napoleon. Because that happens in a lot of the Assassins game where it's like, haha, really, it's this super well-known person. And he's an evil mastermind. I'm like, he's a Napoleon.
Lord Byron?
Her son?
Oh my God.
That was out at sea? Be like, haha. No, the count. It should have been the Countess.
Should have been the Countess, yeah.
Rewrite.
Yeah.
That would make so much more sense at the end.
It would make the ending better. Because it's like, it seems like so at the end of the book, they do kind of fight the Countess in like a boss fight thing. After they already fought Kane.
She is evil.
And like, that would have been such a cooler reveal.
Yeah.
What if they thought it was Kane? You could still fight Kane. Like, Kane still sucks. You could still fight him. They thought it was Kane. It isn't Kane. And then it was the Countess. Then it would be a thriller mystery.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Rewrite.
Abridged version.
All right, chapter 17.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise! Not. Pierette is also sucks at being an assassin. Is what people see her in the cemetery and think she's a ghost. Simeon thinks Kane is the Magus. He is going by a nickname Mr. Gillet. Mr. Waistcoat. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Mr.
Waistcoat?
Because he wears waistcoats, and that's what he knows. So they're like, ha, it's a French for the
Got him. Get punked on.
If only we had someone who spoke French.
We're calling him Mr. Ugly. Ugly mustache.
That would have been funny.
Ugly mustache man.
That's all I have for 17.
Yeah, there's like not a lot that happens. It's basically Pierette being like, I think the Magus is that guy you were talking about, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
No way.
He also likes electricity stuff.
That's crazy.
I'm so glad I didn't show him her notebook.
Okay, chapter 18, yeah.
Simeon returns. Months have passed now. He goes to Vienna. Kane's rooms are rented to someone else. And Pierette decides that she's going to hide in plain sight by wearing the coolest outfit that she can find.
They're trying to find Kane. That's their whole goal now. They're like, we found out who the Magus was. Apparently, Pierette and Simeon just had to talk about it a little bit, and then they could have figured it out.
True. And by the way, now Pierette has unsewn the pages from her other corset and has now sewn them into this one. And I'm like, what the crap are these pages made out of that they're going to survive all of this?
It is pretty incredible. I think, like, Simeon is always berating Pierette.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she bought a mauve or something dress, and he's like, that's too flashy. And she's like, what? I gotta look, I'm looking in style.
Yeah, I don't want to look ugly, then I'll stick out.
Okay, I'm gonna go gather intel, because you can't do that.
And she finds out that Kane has been in London for 2 months, or at least 2 months ago. And I was like, this random lady comes up to her and was like, hey, I remember you at Ada's house. And I'm like, who is this lady? I don't remember this lady at all. But it doesn't matter.
Ada knows so many people. You were at Ada's house one time. I guess these people don't know a lot of people. It's back then.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also like, how does this lady know Kane? And then that would mean that Ada would have to know Kane. And not just be a correspondence. Like, he would know her in person. Because she's like, oh, yeah, he was at her house.
Oh, yeah,
and I was like, so. I'm so confused.
Well, I'm assuming all these rich people party together, maybe. Yeah. And that's how they all know
Kane
each
a rich
other.
person, though?
Well, he went to the Countess's house, remember? He's looking at, like, machines and stuff at people's houses. I would say he's a rich person. He's like a lab and a bunch of pigeons. That's what rich people have, right?
Poor people also have pigeons.
Yeah, but like, Not as pets, just around.
A pigeon tried to make a nest on my balcony.
Oh yeah,
and I just picked up.
it's like
they left
rich,
such a mess.
They chose you.
Stupid
You're the next one to
But
be
then
rich.
they didn't build a nest. That's the thing. They like couldn't figure it out. But they left me all of their mess. All right, we're on chapter 19 now.
Yeah, because this is crazy. There's a lot of stuff happening.
So now we're back in London. There's too many places. Like, we've gone too many places.
Yeah, we did.
There's way too many. Simeon runs into Kane at the British Museum. It's a trap. He knows it's a trap. There's like a thing in the
also,
newspaper.
Pierette wanted to go, but Simeon's like, no.
Yeah. He's like, you have to go see this acrobat guy. Aren't you interested in that? She's like, what?
Wait, doesn't he actually doesn't she actually go anyway?
No, she goes to the acrobat.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Simeon's like, okay, this is a trap. They go to the British Museum and the guard there.
No, Pierrette's also in London.
Yeah.
To see the acrobat guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I got
the
it.
fog's coming in, so they have to close the museum early, but no one else is leaving. There's a reading room that they mentioned, but you have to have a special ticket for that, which will become important, I guess. In a moment. Simeon and Kane have their
boss fight.
They like chatter and they fight. Then Kane is using this device to like move his voice somewhere else, and Simeon's like, haha, I almost fell for that. He like ran out of the museum and he's like, hey, did you see a guy? And the guy's like, what?
No, I haven't seen it. Yeah, because he's like, oh, he expected me to run out into the fog, so I'm not gonna run out into the fog. I'm gonna stay inside.
I'm gonna run to the reading room and bully this guy into letting me in with a freaking knife or whatever he has.
Yeah, this guy's like, you have to have a ticket for this room, dude. And he's like,
this is my ticket.
Have a ticket. So he threatens him with a knife, and he's like, okay, I guess you can go into the reading room. Have a nice day.
There's a bunch of people just standing there, and Kane's there talking to some people, and then Simeon just jumps on a table.
He has to sign his name to get into the reading room.
What name did he put?
Ezio Auditore. And I was like, oh, okay, this is stupid.
That's the name drop.
That's the name drop. That's all you're getting. Getting little kernels of Assassin's Creed there.
And then, because Kane already called the police on Simeon for his desertion, so they're coming, which is why he's chasing him all around the museum.
Well, because, like, he confronts Kane, and Kane's, like, hiding behind all these other people, and he was like, how dare you, Kane, hide behind all of these civilians, and all the civilians in the room are like, what is happening?
They're like, we know him, we don't know you. And then Simeon just gets knocked out, and then he falls down, but then he can't walk, and I was like, what?
They broke his kneecaps. They said they got him.
He's captured by the police I was like, can't walk or something like that. Like I did.
So Price tries to escape, but finds himself pushed over the railing and injured from the fall, is what this wiki says.
He gets like hit in the back, and then he's like, I can't walk, and then he passes out, and then he gets arrested.
Oh, he tries to fire at Kane? He tries to shoot Kane?
Yeah, he's in a bunch of people. Got a gun that works this time. But he can't hit innocent people, like that's the creed, so.
But Kane was hiding behind innocent people.
Yes, he was.
Okay, now we're going back to Pierette, who's watching.
She sees an acrobat at the Crystal Palace, which is where I guess she started the game at. She started the book at. And she's like, this place is depressing.
Yeah. She thinks about her own troop and how she left him high and dry.
Yeah, because this acrobat has a baby on the high wire. And everyone's like, this is so distasteful.
Oh, she got a letter from her troop that's like, oh, Major Wallen, your ringmaster passed away.
He's dead. And we find out now that it's been 10 years since the beginning of the book. So this whole thing is taking place over a decade.
She runs into
Tilly Wallen, and I was like, who's that? And then I was like, oh crap,
that's Major
Wallen's daughter. I just looked at the sentence above, and I was like, yep, got it.
And she like takes her to her assassin hideout home place.
Well, they're staying with Ava's friend.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're staying in the apartments. And he's like a painter, I think, and she's a drug addict.
Cool.
They wanted to have a baby and she can't, and so she's got the laudanum.
They walk in to see that their house has been ransacked.
And all of her stuff is all over the place, and then a knock at the door, and Simeon's been arrested.
Simeon has a broken leg.
He's in prison now.
Going to prison.
And then she's like, the description, it's all the things that smelled like and she said it smelled like scurvy. Like, what does scurvy smell like?
Not citrus. Probably like pee, I would imagine.
I was like, isn't scurvy like a deterioration of like your bones because you're not getting the vitamin C? I'm like, does that have a smell? I don't know. They take his weapons and his choice. They took his weapons as his choices hurt you. Simeon chose to walk into a trap. That's right, because he knew it was a trap and he went there anyways. He gets a visitor from Halford. He is alive!
Yay!
And he's like, I got you, Simeon. I'm going to stand trial with you because I did not desert.
Yeah.
I had to go kill a bunch of people.
But I know you're a good guy, so I'm gonna
stand next to you at that trial.
Next to you. He's like, maybe you should plead that you had amnesia, Simeon. Simeon's not gonna do that. He's gonna tell the truth. Get on that soapbox.
But before we do that, we got to go back to Pierette.
All right.
There was a weird quote that Lizzie said. Lizzie is who Pierrette's staying with. He has hurt me more than anyone. I'm like, what does that mean? What's happening? What's going on? They're like, oh, she's like, hey, you and Simeon, you getting that?
I'm so glad that they did not.
Because she's like, he's like 6 years older than me. I'm like, 6 years? Lady, do you know what time period this is? Like, that is as close to your age as you're going to get in a spouse. So
I'm so glad that they didn't hook up, though. I was so afraid because they're a terrible couple.
He is so mean to her.
Yes, it'd be so bad.
Pierette thinks that the circus is falling apart because she left.
Did you think at all you were like, they're going to hook up these two main characters?
I was really hoping they didn't. Yeah. They always do that, though.
They always do that. I was
that's how that works in the sequel.
God, you're probably right. Don't do it. Kate, what's her name? Kate? Don't. Kate, no.
It's already written. It's coming out like in a month. Okay. There's no going back.
No.
It's been published.
Revise.
So yeah, she left the circus 4 years ago, and she's like didn't really write them at all.
No, she didn't.
Oh, so she goes to get equipped. She gets ropes and a grappling hook and knives because she's gonna break Simeon out. But then she gets approached by a man, and he's like, "Hey, are you Pierette?" And she's like, "Why are you asking me these questions?" And he's like, "I got a message for you." And the message is find and stop the Magus. And so she's gonna throw a party. And this brings us to chapter 23. Yep. We're almost done, guys.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Pierette holds a party to try to figure out who Kane is.
Yeah, if anyone here knows where Oscar Kane is.
So she's calling all these people around because Lizzie knows Ada's friends, so they're all like artists and stuff.
Ada's daughter's there.
Yep. She's like, hey, do you have any of my mom's papers?
And also Ada's son?
Yes. And then the quote that I wrote from this is, a dinner party was not so different from a street battle.
Okay.
Cool. But, who does show up at the party is Countess von Weissler.
Who invited her? She invites Pierette to meet and talk at Brown's Hotel, where she is staying.
She's like, it's a trap. I know it. So Pierrette's going to do the assassin thing. She's going to go on the roof and check it out.
All right.
And she's the worst assassin ever because she's coming down off the window and someone grabs her and she hits her head. And she wakes up and she's tied to a chair. And it's finally the return with the man with the scar. His name is Henningham?
Yeah, Henningham.
And he is with the Countess, and they are Templars. And she's like, you're an idiot, because what we did is we just put all this bird poop on all the places we didn't want you to be, and we knew you would be at this one spot.
We knew you would slip on the bird poop. You fool!
It's the assassin's Achilles heel, bird poop.
It's so slippery.
And then here's the thing, like, she gets the crap kicked out of her. The Countess like straight up stabs her several times, and then she like stabs the corset and it tears, and then she's like, oh, look, the papers.
Thought, like, after this chapter, Pierette was dead.
Yeah.
Like, because she
shot her, like, in the collar, neck, like, in the side, under the armpit. I'm like, you have arteries over there.
She's definitely dead. I know that, it's not this chapter, but, like, another chapter, she kind of escapes, right? But she's, like, crawling at the end of that chapter on the floor, and I was like, oh, Pierrette's just done.
Because it's, like, day after day, she just gets the crap kicked out of her.
Yeah. We'll go back to Simeon in chapter 24.
So it's now 1861. Simeon is still healing. He's doing his push-ups. he hears that Pierette might be in Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
Then his trial comes up, and they're like, "Dude, just say you had amnesia and you didn't remember you were in the army.
Your head, and that's why you left."
But no. Simeon is a man of principle, and so he's like, "F you and this army. You're gonna send me to die." And I'm a working man, and I didn't write any of his speech down.
Yeah, I didn't write any of his speech down.
I was just like, meh. This poor friend who was like, yeah, I'll stand up next to you. And he brought all these other guys that knew him as character witnesses and basically called them all liars. And so now they're going to get in trouble.
You expect us to follow orders. The ones that are ordering us are complete idiots. Everything goes quiet because that line was so strong.
Because the Lieutenant Grimes is there and he's like, oh, look at you. Like,
oh, yeah, Grimes.
You should have been court-martialed. You let all those people die. And then they come back and it's not guilty. He gets to walk free.
Yeah, he gets to walk free. But you know, it's funny. I think it was Halford where he's like, sorry, Halford. And Halford's like, I'm going to get in so much trouble now.
He's like, I'm going to get the lashes.
Yeah, now I'm going to jail. Thanks a lot, Simeon. Yeah. But luckily he got free.
And now people are going to start buying him drinks and stuff.
Wow. You calling your higher-ups idiots really is great.
Chapter 25, I have one line, and it says, Pierette's being tortured, but escapes.
Yeah, she escaped.
She has, so we missed this whole thing, but it doesn't really matter. She's got this special necklace, but for some reason, this lady lets her keep her necklace on. It's like a memory memorial necklace where you put like a clip of someone's hair in, but it's got powder in it that if you light it on fire, like, is a magician escape thing. But
they're telling her to like write down Ada's notes.
Yeah, because they can't decipher it. And
they hold a gun to her head and they're like, write down the notes.
Are there any words left on these papers after they've been in this corset for over a decade? So she's given them information, although she thinks she's only giving them like certain information. She's like, I can't tell anymore. And then there's a fire nearby because she keeps like, I'm cold. Can I have a fire? Because she's trying to escape, but no, they just beat the crap out of her.
Yeah.
And then there is finally a fire. She's like, oh, let me write the papers.
Holds her necklace to her mouth and blows out the yellow substance.
And lights the Countess on fire.
Pierette takes the knife and escapes from her chains, taking the notes. She uses the chair to break a window, which was shot by the Countess mistakenly. Escaping the room, Pierette begins to use her strength to move across the rooftops as she dodges gunshots, making her way through the buildings adjacent to the room. When she comes across a chimney and rests, bloodied and bruised, she sleeps.
And this is when I was like, is that?
She's dead. Yeah, there's a young chimney sweep there. See, this sounds way more exciting than what I read. To me, it just sounded like she, like, hopped out a window and then, like, crumpled to the floor. People were shooting at her. Like, wow, okay.
Big wands.
Now it's Simeon time.
Simeon and Pierette meet up again. She looks like garbage. They're gonna head to Bath. That's where Kane is. And she's like, oh, I told him Ada sometime to talk about Bath. And they're like, oh, hey, are we going to get any help from our assassin friends? They're like, nope, they're busy. So I got some friends that I just got in trouble for my court case. And you have some friends, which are circus folk. So that's all we need.
All right, we got some soldiers and some circus folk. We're going to go take our friends and berate Kane.
And I did not write anything else.
Cool. Chapter 27. Atop the Bath Abbey, Price overlooks Bath as he sees one of Arnon's, which I think is...
Pierette.
Pierette, yeah. For weird, they use their last name. Pierrette's circus friends pull up in a carriage with help from Halford and Occam.
Those are the soldiers.
Price sets out...
Oh, no, Occam. So, also another thing we didn't put. Occam is Ava's son, who also got out of a court-martial.
Oh, that's right.
And so, he's the real reason why Price was found not guilty, because Lord Byron's grandson knew somebody.
Price sets out to look for any strange people. In an alley nearby, Price sees two men with shovels and later catches Kane heading in the same direction. Halford and Occam stand watch at the alley exit as Pierce moves forward. With the Assassins' Paris Council's permission, Price heads to find Kane. Help. Despite waiting for backup, Pierette leaves the carriage and joins her mentor. Pierette tells Simeon that the notes are with Nell Robinson, while
Back
Tilly, Hugh, and Ariel, which is part of her troop, join them on their mission. As they set up their reinforcements, Simeon investigates the alley to find another exit, and finds a lid over a possible entrance.
So here's the thing. Like, Simeon, who's an idiot, is going to go after Kane by himself. Because he's like, these are civilians. I don't want Pierette's help. You keep him busy up. You stay up here and, like, block. And then I'm going to go down and defeat Kane. So he goes down this, like, coal cellar.
He breaks the lid and Simeon ventures alone while Hugh goes back up to help Pierette.
Yeah, so everyone else is up top. Pierrette's they're blocking the exit. And Simeon goes by himself,
venturing
into this coal cellar.
The passage underground. Price finds himself in a circular room filled with lights and wires. There, Price meets Kane, who is just armed.
Sitting. He's just sitting there in the middle, like meditating,
like
waiting
two guns. Two guns.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting to address his former apprentice. Kane admits that Ada's analytical engine was promised and that her setbacks were engineered by those against her who knew that. Okay, he just says that she was like super smart.
Yeah,
and stuff
but she's
like
a woman, so you know.
Yeah. Price says Ada was right about Kane and accuses Kane of betraying the Brotherhood for the Templars. Kane admits.
This is where I got confused. I'm like, is Kane a Templar?
Kane admits that his relationship with the Templars was trading knowledge, but that they tricked him of an eye being underneath Bath.
Oh, that was...
Oh, the eye of...
Yeah, he kept looking for all these eye things for the precursor.
He's looking for artifacts.
And he's like, they told me it was here, which is why I'm here, but he's like, I'm pretty sure they screwed me and found it first.
Kane states that the working men will not be used by those who wish to rule them and offers Simeon a chance again. Simeon rebuffs as he notices that they are not alone.
So this was like the subtone of the book. It was all about the working man, right? With the drill was going to replace the working man. And like, it was such a subtle thing with like at the very beginning where Price is like, these are the working men, these soldiers that you're allowing to die. So it was like a very subtle subtone. So when Kane brings it up at the end, it's like, what?
Driving it home.
This was the whole thing? We're talking about the working man and how he's beaten down, and this is what's happening. But then he also is responsible, because this is where Price comes in. He's like, what about Orsini? And what about the tailor guy who can't pronounce his name? Those are working men that Kane sent to slaughter for his own, because you find out here that he's the one that told Orsini to go after the political figures. Oh. And he's the mastermind behind all that. And Price is like, well, what about these people?
I don't know. I was pretty checked out. So the message just flew right over my head.
It was a weird message it was very subtle throughout and not fully developed.
But Simeon notices that Kane brought reinforcements. They're like behind him.
There are people in the shadows, and he's like, I see you.
So Kane shoots Simeon, who dodges it, but not before a second shot. The two men shoot at Price, who hears more shots coming from above, where the circus troupe and everyone else is.
Yeah.
And the reinforcements are. Kane pushes Price behind a pillar, which happens to be a trap, and brings Price falling further down. Trapped, Price feels helpless.
On his bad leg.
Until one of the men fall on top of him. Pierette arrives after killing the man, rescuing Simeon. Pierette makes their way from the fight between them and Kane and his men. However, Kane begins shooting at Occam, injures him severely.
He gets like hit in the head.
Yeah.
And you're like, that kid is dead.
We thought Pierette was dead too, so. Yeah. Simeon gives chase but finds Kane aiming his gun at Tilly,
who's on the shoulders of someone else.
Yeah, she takes down one of Kane's men. Luckily, Kane's gun is out of bullets as Pierette stabs him from behind. However, Kane overpowers her and holds Arnaud hostage alone.
She got like a little knife. Like it was not a good stab. It was like the letter opener.
Yeah, it was like a letter opener to his back too. So Kane becomes surrounded by Pierce and his allies. Ariel Hughes begins to bound Kane, but one living henchman.
Yeah, he left and then he came back because it was like, oh, I'm gonna flee, and then they're like, haha, he took his moment.
Knocks them down with a lasso untied around Kane.
That's how Tilly did the lasso thing, because she's a circus performer with horses.
Pierette takes a hold of the lasso and Kane and begins to rock the walkway. Within an instant, Pierette and Oscar Kane fall off the walkway together.
Wait, I thought they were just underground.
But okay. Simeon looks to Pierette, who tends to her ankle while the broken walkway begins to destabilize the room.
She's like, the
The walls come down. Cain is found to be bleeding and motionless, gasping for air. All except Simeon and Pierette leave the room as Cain gains
Ava's son is okay.
Simeon's attention, stating, "Don't be weak," to Simeon. Cain dies.
Yeah, he assassin blades him.
After acquiring Cain's blood, Simeon leaves with Pierette, and the room collapses and buries Cain.
Dun, dun, dun.
So that's the boss fight.
And all of the friends are okay at the end.
But we're not done yet.
No, because we're at one more chapter.
Pierette and Simeon make their way to London. As their allies begin to recuperate, Pierette heads to Nell's stores and retrieves Ada's notes while she meets Simeon later at Rossetti's home.
And that was the place that they were staying at. It's Lizzie and guy, the painter guy.
Both pays their respects to the guy because he lost his wife to a drug overdose.
Yeah, she died. Killed herself.
Arnon retrieves a lock of hair while hearing rumors of Lizzie's real cause of death. However, Pierette overhears a conversation between Simeon and a woman. The Countess has shown up and demands to know where Arnon and the notes are.
So that's Arnon is Pierette.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why
they she shows up. So they're at Lizzie's funeral, and they think that she just died kind of like of a broken heart because she wants to have kids and she can't. She had a miscarriage. And so then she finds out that the laudanum bottle that got broken in the break-in, Pierette had another one in her room, and so she gave that to Lizzie, and that's what Lizzie uses to kill herself.
No.
So Pierrette's like, "Oh, I suck," and so at the funeral, she's like, "Hey, Lizzie's special man friend, can I, she's an important person to me. Can I have a lock of her hair?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." She's gonna hide the book
under her head
in the coffin. I'm like, girl, just destroy it, because if they know that it's down there, they're gonna just tear up that coffin and that poor lady's body.
Yeah.
Like, just destroy the book. Like, burn it.
She talks about that a lot. She's like, I should have just destroyed this book. Why didn't I destroy this book? And she never does. So she's going to go meet the Countess with a gun. Mm-hmm. The Countess reveals that one of the henchmen reported back that the notebook is gone and wants to see if that is true.
Because that's what they told Cain.
Silent, Pierette, and Simeon stay ambivalent on the matter. As they pay their condolences and leave, Simeon tells Arnon, Pierette, that he must inform both the British and the French Brotherhood of the Magus' death and matters with the Templar. However, Pierette reveals her readiness to become an assassin and reveals her plans to stay in London for both her troop and the Brotherhood. Yet Simeon decides to leave as he garners attention.
Everyone's buying him drinks. He's
more than usual.
That's not a good assassin thing. I have to leave.
And now he needs to be incognito to work well. Understanding, Pierette offers one more night together in the London shadows, to which Simeon agrees.
Dun dun dun! We made it! We did it! You survived.
That was it.
What are we reading next?
It's Five Nights at Freddy's, Tales from the Pizzaplex, #1, Lally's Game. Dun, dun. Which is the first novella. At least I think this says it was a novella. It's 3 different stories.
Oh, so it's like a short story collection?
Yeah, it's 3 short story collections. And it's not related to our previous FNAF episode with Charlie and Co. It's a whole new different FNAF stories. So hopefully it'll be better than what we just read.
Until next time.